All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Naresh Mago and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. India conducts record 10 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Haryana government decides to close all offices and shops on every Saturday and Sunday due to rising corona cases. Election Commission issues guidelines to conduct elections amid COVID-19. Rajiv Kumar appointed new election commissioner following resignation of Ashok Lavasa. CBI requests Ames, New Delhi to review the death case of actor Sushant Singh Rajput. Prime Minister Narendra Modi writes letter to Suresh Raina, appreciates his contribution to Indian cricket, and Ganesh Chaturthi being celebrated across the country today. India has crossed the milestone of conducting 10 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. In a tweet, the Health Ministry said, during the last 24 hours, more than 10 lakh people were tested. The Ministry said, early identification through testing, prompt and effective treatment through supervised home isolation, and quality medical care and innovative graded policy measures have resulted in almost 100% increase in recovered cases in the last 21 days. The recovery rate from COVID-19 has improved to 74.3%. India registered 62,282 recoveries in the last 24 hours. With this, a total of 21,58,946 people have recovered in the country so far. The case fatality rate continues to show a steady decline and now stands at 1.89%. The Health Ministry has said that 68,898 new cases of COVID-19 were registered in the country in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 29,05,823. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 6,92,028. During the last 24 hours, 983 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 54,849. The Haryana government has decided to close all the offices and shops in the state on every Saturday and Sunday amid the rising coronavirus cases. However, those providing essential services have been allowed to function over the weekend. Public and private transport has also been exempted from the shutdown. Exams being conducted by Haryana Public Service Commission and Haryana Staff Selection Commission will be held as per the schedule. All directives and SOPs issued by National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA) for COVID-19 management will be strictly followed in the state.
In view of rising COVID-19 cases in Punjab, Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has ordered a series of emergency measures including extension of weekend lockdown in all 167 cities and towns in the state and night curfew daily from 7 p.m. till 5 a.m. The measures came into effect from yesterday. The decisions were taken by the Chief Minister during a virtual meeting with top officials to review the COVID situation. Meanwhile, further spike in COVID-19 cases were reported in Punjab yesterday as 1,513 people were tested positive. 856 patients were also discharged from various hospitals after recovery. 34 patients have lost their life. The Uttar Pradesh government has allowed shops of fertilizers and seeds to remain open during the restriction period of 55 hours, which started last night and will continue till Monday morning. This has been done in the wake of the sowing season and the growing need of fertilizers and seeds for farmers. UP Agriculture Minister Surya Pratap Shahi has assured all the farmers that there is no dearth of fertilizers in the state and the government is taking all measures to ensure the availability of fertilizers and seeds. He said that strict action is being taken against those who are stocking and black marketing fertilizers.
In Bihar, the recovery rate of COVID-19 has reached 78%. This is 4% more than the national average. With increasing of discharge rate of COVID patients from hospitals, the active cases have dropped to 25,241. Another 91,841 people have recovered so far across the state, 3,628 of them in the last 24 hours. The number of tests has crossed 22 lakh in the state. Positive cases have mounted to 1,17,671 with fresh cases of 2,461. The COVID-19 death toll in Bihar has risen to 588. Meanwhile, the state government has allowed the Nalanda Medical College Hospital NMCH Patna to start plasma therapy from today to treat the critically ill COVID patients. In Gujarat, 1,204 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded yesterday. The recovery rate is further improved to 80%. More from our correspondent.
More than 16,20,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Record 72,857 tests were carried out yesterday. Total cases of COVID-19 in the state have gone up to 84,466. At present, 14,320 active cases in the state, out of which 89 patients are on ventilator. At the other hand, 1,324 patients have been discharged from various hospitals after recovery. With this, the total patients recovered from COVID-19 have gone up to 67,277. 14 patients have lost their lives yesterday, taking the total deaths due to COVID-19 in the state up to 2,869. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
Odisha has crossed another milestone in registering COVID-19 recovery of more than 50,000 cases. The state government has revealed that as many as 50,503 corona-positive persons in the state have recovered so far. 390 persons have also fallen victim to the virus. Our report has more details.
Odisha is now the second leading state in the country to conduct as many as 1,265 tests per million per day, surpassing the national average of 508. In terms of positivity, the state continues to enjoy the sixth position on an all-India basis, with the positivity rate sticking around 6% as against the national average of 8.69%. The state government, which now advocates home isolation of asymptomatic cases, has been doling out 2,000 rupees each to those completing institutional quarantine, which is yet another strategic tool to track down the ever-expanding infection. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Sikkim Health Minister Dr. M.K. Sharma has tested positive for COVID-19. Dr. Sharma informed that after testing positive, he is under isolation and doing fine. He appealed to people not to panic and requested primary contacts to self-isolate and get tested after 7 days of contact or earlier if they develop symptoms. Meanwhile, 46 new COVID-19 cases were reported in Sikkim yesterday, taking active cases to 499 and total cases to 1,336. A total of 834 patients have been discharged after recovery, while the state has reported 3 deaths. The Assam government has enhanced 25% seat capacity in educational institutes. A notification issued by the Education Department said that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all government and provincialized colleges as well as state universities are to increase 25% seat capacity in the state. Students who have passed Class 12th examination from Assam Higher Secondary Education Council during 2020-21 will get the benefit of the enhanced seats. Our correspondent reports that the Assam government is planning to resume classes in educational institutes from 1st of next month, subject to the approval of the centre.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy has said permitting public transport in the state at this stage will throw up challenges in contact tracing of COVID-19 patients. Public transport remains largely shut down in the state due to the pandemic. Meanwhile, the total COVID infection in Tamil Nadu has surged past 3,67,000, while the recoveries have crossed 3,07,000. Here is a report from our correspondent.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy has hinted that resuming the stalled public transport is not in the immediate vicinity. Talking to reporters in Namakkal yesterday, he said contact tracing would become difficult if unhindered public transport is allowed at this stage. Meanwhile, the State Health Minister Dr. C. Vijayabhaskar told media persons after dedicating 250 additional beds in the super multi-specialty hospital in Chennai that private clinics that refer COVID patients to government hospitals at the terminal stages are being issued notices. He said the best clinical practices being followed and the important experiences witnessed in government facilities are being shared with private hospitals as well to help reduce mortalities. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
In Karnataka, 7,571 new COVID-19 cases were reported during the last 24 hours, taking the tally to 2,64,546. The state recovery rate is continuously improving to reach 66.88%, and the mortality rate has declined to 1.71%. More from our correspondent.
The state conducted 57,623 swab tests across the state in 100 testing centers, and the total number of tests have gone up to 23,14,485. 83,066 active COVID patients are under treatment in the state. Among them, 698 are in ICU. Meanwhile, the Medical Education Minister, Dr. K. Sudhakar, said that the government understands the problems faced by the doctors during this tough time of COVID-19 pandemic. He further said that an inquiry headed by the Mysuru Regional Commissioner has been ordered to investigate the suicide committed by the Nanjangud Taluk Dr. S.R. Nagendra and submit the report within 7 days. The government also announced Rs 50 lakh as compensation and a government job to the deceased doctor's wife. R. Murthy, AR News, Bengaluru.
The Andaman and Nicobar administration has now made rapid antigen test mandatory for all incoming passengers from the mainland at the entry point itself. The decision has come into effect from today. An amount of 500 rupees is to be paid per head for the test. However, patients with their attendant returning from mainland after treatment are exempted from the due charge. The result, if comes positive, then the passenger will immediately be shifted to COVID care facility, while a 7 days home or institutional quarantine shall be followed even if it comes negative. Meanwhile, 67 fresh cases of COVID-19 were reported in the islands, while 106 patients have recovered. Till date, 2,747 cases appeared, out of which 1,744 recovered, while 971 are still active. The National Testing Agency, NTA, has informed that it has made elaborate arrangements to comply with the guidelines of Ministry of Education for conducting examinations, including the NEET and JEE. It said the examination centers will be sanitized both before and after the examination, and the candidates can also ask for fresh masks and hand gloves at the center. The NTA has also sought support of the state authorities to ensure proper law and order condition, power supply, crowd management in front of exam centers, and facilitation of movement of candidates and exam functionaries. The agency has issued, along with the admit cards, important instructions for candidates as well as advisory for candidates regarding COVID-19. NTA has informed that over 75% JEE candidates have already downloaded their admit cards. It further said that over 99% of the candidates appearing both for NEET and JEE have been allotted their first preference as examination centers in order to avert instances of inconvenience.
The Employees State Insurance Corporation ESIC has relaxed the norms to pay 50% of the average wages of 3 months as unemployment benefit between March 24 and December 31 this year in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. The ESIC took the decision in its 182nd meeting held yesterday under the chairmanship of Union Labour and Employment Minister Santosh Kumar Gangwar. The ESIC is implementing the Atal Bimit Vyakti Kalyan Yojana, under which unemployment benefit is paid to the workers covered under Employees State Insurance ESI scheme. The ESIC has decided to extend the scheme for 1 more year up to the 30th of June next year. It has been decided to relax the existing conditions and the amount of relief for workers who've lost employment during the COVID-19 pandemic period. The enhanced relief under the relaxed conditions will be payable during the period of 24th of March to 31st of December this year. Thereafter, the scheme will be available with original eligibility condition during the period between 1st January next year to 30th June next year. IIT Madras incubated startup Modulus Housing has developed a portable hospital unit that can be installed anywhere within 2 hours by 4 people. Medicab is a decentralized approach to detect, screen, identify, isolate, and treat COVID-19 patients in their local communities through these portable microstructures. Medicab was launched recently in Wayanad district of Kerala, where the units are being deployed to treat COVID-19 patients. The startup is developing micro-hospitals that can be deployed rapidly across the nation.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. India conducts record 10 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Haryana government decides to close all offices and shops on every Saturday and Sunday due to rising corona cases. Election Commission issues guidelines to conduct elections amid COVID-19. Rajiv Kumar appointed new election commissioner following resignation of Ashok Lavasa. CBI requests Ames, New Delhi to review the death case of actor Sushant Singh Rajput. Prime Minister Narendra Modi writes letter to Suresh Raina, appreciates his contribution to Indian cricket. And Ganesh Chaturthi being celebrated across the country today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
The Election Commission has issued detailed guidelines related to key activities for conducting the upcoming general elections and by-elections in various states and union territories during the period of COVID-19 pandemic. The guidelines laid down strict compliance norms to be followed by candidates and officials conducting the elections. Those who found violating the instructions on COVID-19 measures even during the campaign process will be liable to be proceeded against as per the provisions of the Disaster Management Act 2005. During the campaign process, not more than 5 people have been allowed for door-to-door canvassing. During the road shows, the convoy should have a gap after every set of 5 vehicles, and public gatherings and rallies can be conducted with strict adherence to the COVID-19 guidelines. The Election Commission in its guidelines has also stated that the training of election officials should be organized in a decentralized manner at large halls. It has also stressed on online modules of training as far as possible. All necessary forms, including the nomination form, will be available online on the website of CEO and DEO for the intending candidates. Candidates can even deposit the security money online at the designated platforms. During the filing of nomination papers, only 2 persons and vehicles are allowed to accompany a candidate. The guidelines state that every person has to wear a face mask during the election-related activity. Thermal scanning of all persons has also been necessitated at every entry point. Sanitizers, soap and water shall be made available in the premises. Social distancing shall be maintained as per the COVID-19 guidelines of the state government and Ministry of Home Affairs. The guidelines also say that a maximum of only 1,000 voters should be allowed in a polling station at any given point in time instead of the current norm of 1,500 voters. Former Finance Secretary Rajiv Kumar has been appointed the new Election Commissioner. He will replace Ashok Lavasa, who resigned earlier this week. Mr. Kumar will take charge the day Mr. Lavasa leaves his office on August 31. Mr. Kumar's appointment comes at a time when the Election Commission is preparing to hold the Bihar Assembly polls amid the coronavirus pandemic. A 1984 batch IAS officer of Jharkhand cadre, Rajiv Kumar has over 3 decades of experience in public policy and administration across various sectors. He played a major role in merging 10 public sector banks into 4. He also played a key role in taking ahead Prime Minister Narendra Modi's plan of financial inclusion aimed at boosting credit access and job creation through flagship schemes such as Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Mudra Loan Scheme, among others.
The tender for manufacturing of 44 sets of semi-high-speed train Vande Bharat has been cancelled. Railway Ministry said fresh tender will be floated within a week. The ministry said new tender will be floated as per revised public procurement order and preference will be given to Make in India. CBI has made a request to the Forensic Department of Ames, New Delhi, to review the death case of Bollywood star Sushant Singh Rajput and give its medico-legal opinion. A medical board of forensic experts has been constituted by Ames under the chairmanship of Dr. Sudhir Gupta to study the case and submit its findings to the investigating agency. CBI will probe necessary medical records to the forensic team for their analysis, based on which the team will analyze the injury pattern in relation to the medical findings in the case.
In Jammu and Kashmir, Ganderbal police and 5 Rashtriya Rifles have arrested 1 terrorist associate and recovered a grenade from his possession. Police said a joint checkpoint was established by the security forces near Badarkund nursery area of Ganderbal. The suspected person tried to flee and evade the checkpoint, but the vigilant party managed to apprehend the suspect. He has been identified as Shaukat Ahmed Bhatt, a resident of Urpash, Gandarbal. An FIR has been registered at the Gandarbal police station. Madhya Pradesh has become the first state to provide government jobs on the basis of marks obtained in exams conducted by the newly formed National Recruitment Agency NRA. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said the state government has decided to provide jobs only on the basis of marks obtained in the examinations conducted by the NRA. Here is more from our correspondent.
Madhya Pradesh is the first state to take such a decision. After this decision, there will be no need for the youth of the state to give any separate examinations for government jobs in the state. Government jobs will be given to the youth of the state in the categories prescribed on the basis of NRA merit. The decision taken by Prime Minister in the interest of students is also welcomed by many academicians in the state. Dr. Sanjeev Gupta of Makhalal Chaturvedi National Journalism University, Bhopal, told AIR that
देश के 3 करोड़ युवाओं को अपनी परीक्षाएं देने में बहुत ही सुविधा होगी। न सिर्फ उनका फीस के रूप में आर्थिक व्यय कम होगा, बल्कि उनको अपने नजदीक ही प्रत्येक जिले में परीक्षा केंद्र भी उपलब्ध होगा और ये परीक्षाएं बहुत ही कॉम्पिटिटिव एनवायरनमेंट में संपन्न होंगी।
वाइस चांसलर ऑफ इंदिरा गांधी नेशनल ट्राइबल यूनिवर्सिटी अमरकंटक प्रोफेसर प्रकाश मणि त्रिपाठी सेड,
एक देश एक परीक्षा के भारत सरकार के निर्णय की भूर प्रशंसा। देश के युवाओं के भविष्य संवारने की दिशा में यह क्रांतिकारी कदम है।
This will provide relief to the youth and Divyang residing in villages and remote areas from unnecessary efforts and expenditure incurred on examinations. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Total sowing area coverage under Kharif crops in the country has registered an increase of more than 8.5% this year compared to the corresponding period of the last year. Kharif crops have been sown in nearly 1,063 lakh hectare area of the country till now. Cultivation of one of the staple crops, rice, has witnessed an increase of nearly 12% in its total sowing area, whereas oilseed cultivation has registered a spike of over 14%. Rural Development Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has emphasized on the need to ensure that full benefit of 1 lakh crore rupees Agri-Infrastructure Fund reaches the small and medium farmers. He said that the Prime Minister has allocated such a large fund for the farmers, which is a historic step. The scheme will support agri-entrepreneurs, farmer-producers organization in building community farming assets and post-harvest agriculture infrastructure. Mr. Tomar said this while addressing a meeting with chief ministers and state agriculture ministers on recent agriculture market reforms yesterday. The minister said that the new ordinances brought in by the government are totally farmer welfare oriented and there is no need to get misled on the issue of minimum support price. He said procurement from farmers on the basis of MSP will continue as before.
In Madhya Pradesh, the MET department for the Met Department has issued a red alert of extremely heavy rainfall in 6 districts of the state. As per the alert issued by the Met Department, extremely heavy rainfall is very likely to occur in Hoshangabad, Jabalpur, Betul, Narsinghpur, Sevni and Harda districts. Apart from this, the Weather Department has also issued an orange alert of very heavy rainfall in 12 districts and a yellow alert for 16 other districts including Bhopal. Rivers and drains are in spate at many places due to rain. The road connectivity between various cities has also been closed. Senior meteorologist G.D. Mishra informed that Narsinghpur district received 105 mm rainfall and the Bhopal city recorded 80.4 mm showers in the past 24 hours. In Chhattisgarh, incessant rain for the past 1 week has disrupted normal life. Rivers and rivulets in many districts of Bastar division are in spate. A report from our correspondents.
The water level of Indravati River in Bastar district has risen considerably and it is flowing about 2 meters above the danger mark. Barda River in tribal Kondagaon district is also in spate. Road traffic has been disrupted due to flooding at some places on the Jagdalpur-Raipur National Highway. Rivers and rivulets in Bijapur, Narayanpur, Dantewada, Bilaspur, Janjgir Chapa and Balod districts are also in spate and many villages have been cut off from their district headquarters. In Garyaban district, 10 gates of Sikasar Dam have been opened due to the rise in water level in reservoir, leading to sudden rise in water level in Pari River. An alert has been sounded in the villages close to the banks of various rivers. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has written a letter to former Indian cricketer Suresh Raina hailing his contribution towards Indian cricket. Suresh Raina announced his retirement from international cricket on 15th of August. In the letter, the Prime Minister has said that generations will remember Raina not only as a fine batsman but also as a very useful bowler who the captain could turn to when the situation demanded. The festival of Ganesh Chaturthi is being celebrated across the country with great devotion today. The day marks the birth of Lord Ganesha, who is a symbol of wisdom, prosperity and good fortune. People place clay idols of Lord Ganesha in their home and worship them during the 10-day-long festival. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have greeted people on Ganesh Chaturthi. Ganesh Chaturthi is a major attraction in Maharashtra where people celebrate it with great zeal. More details from our correspondent.
The chants of Ganpati Bappa Moria, Mangal Murti Moria is reverberating from various corners, streets and alleys of Mumbai and adjoining areas. The aroma of mouth-watering laddus and modaks, specially prepared to offer to Lord Ganesha, is making the festival more prepossessing. Various restrictions are in place due to the COVID pandemic. The state government has appealed public pandals to keep the festivities simple, besides curtailing the height of the idols. The aesthetically pleasing decoration in households and pandals is making way for optimism and a feeling of divinity to take charge with the recitation of religious hymns in an otherwise somber environment due to the global pandemic. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Now let us take a look at today's weather updates. Let's start with the north from the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The minimum temperature in Jammu was 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees Celsius. The city may have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was 18 degrees, while the maximum will be around 29 degrees Celsius. The city will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 20 and 33 degrees Celsius. The city too will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Muzaffarabad, mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening, with minimum temperature at 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum at 33 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 24 and 29 degrees Celsius. The city may witness a thunderstorm with rain. The national capital, Delhi, may witness a generally cloudy sky with light rain. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 26 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. A headline in The Hindu reads, "Stopping religious activities alone is strange," says top court. SC allows devotees to offer Payushan prayers in 3 Jain temples in Mumbai, reports The Pioneer. Strict curb on rallies in EC's new guidelines for elections, writes The Asian Age. The coronavirus pandemic may have driven as many as 100 million people across the world back into extreme poverty, World Bank warns, says Hindustan Times. The Indian Express reports COVID effect. 61% students defer plan to study abroad, says a study. Haryana government to set up bag-free model schools, writes the Times of India. As with Pak, select China entities face extra visa scam. Tie-ups of Indian universities, institutions also under review, reports the Indian Express. And finally, with a total figure of 2,063, Pakistani nationals are on top of the list of foreigners acquiring Indian citizenship during the past nearly 4 years, says the Statesman.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. India conducts record 10 lakh COVID-19 tests in single day. Haryana government decides to close all offices and shops every Saturday and Sunday due to rising corona cases. Election Commission issues guidelines to conduct elections amid COVID-19. Rajiv Kumar appointed new Election Commissioner following resignation of Ashok Lavasa. CBI requests Ames, New Delhi to review the death case of actor Sushant Singh Rajput. Prime Minister Narendra Modi writes letter to Suresh Raina, appreciates his contribution to Indian cricket, and Ganesh Chaturthi being celebrated across the country today. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.